Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today. It is Friday morning. It is April 16th. You know, Matthew, I failed us. Matthew Thomas, good morning. Matthew, I failed us yesterday. It is not the tax day. It is Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th, 2021. But it's the 16th, and we still celebrate Jackie Robinson. The man they call Meathead, Matthew Thomas, joining us. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Meathead. So, on the subject of Jackie Robinson, one of my favorite issues of Beckett that I owned featured a nice painting of Jackie Robinson on the front, and that just brought back memories of that. I think that was my favorite Beck, and I had quite a few Becketts back in the day.
Yeah.
I would go back between Beckett and Tough Stuff, but I recall
Wait, Tough Stuff was a brand of card, and I thought we've talked this out before. I've never heard of Tough Stuff.
No, Tough Stuff was a price guide.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Tough Stuff was a price guide. It was typically a little bit thicker than the Beckett's. And I think that Tough Stuff may have actually been based in Richmond, Virginia. I know they would host like Tough Stuff card shows in January.
Who was the host? Chris Jericho, or was it Al Snow for the first three?
Early 90s. So yeah, that's a little bit of history today for you.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the history we have with Manscaped.com. They are still saving us 20% off of everything over at Manscaped.com using the promo code PWR. Get your ball throw under control when you get outside with the warmer weather, even though it's snowing in Denver, with Manscaped.com. And then CollarandElbowBrand.com are going to put you in some of the latest and greatest spring fashions with the promo code Linda K, K-A-Y, Linda K. 10% off with Linda K at CollarandElbowBrand.com. We keep popping up that Linda K. Also, there was I did not appreciate the text messages, the message board stuff about Mike Robitussin. I did not appreciate the videos of Chris Rock's stand-up about Robitussin. You break a leg, rub a little Robitussin on it. Yes, I did appreciate those. Those are absolutely hilarious. Thank you for everybody that made sure that I knew that it's not Mike Tyson, it's Mike Robitussin. So,
I was much more growing up. I was much more of a Triaminic fan. I don't know if you've got a history with Triaminic or not.
No, but that was a weird weekend I had with that and Aerosmith on an episode of The Simpsons. But
well, there you go.
Do you know that it's funny I bring that up? I think they call it purple drink, and somebody died from it. But it was like cough medicine and what was it? It was like a liquor and cough medicine put together, and they were calling it purple drink. They did that in The Simpsons a long time ago when Aerosmith played at Moe's Tavern. They made a running gimmick about that episode. That one does not air on regular broadcast TV anymore.
Wow. What could go wrong combining liquor and cough medicine, huh?
Yeah, it's like two negatives, and you're expecting a positive out of it. So, hey, we got news today, Matthew. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the releases. It's that time of the year again. It's that time of the season again. The WWE trimming some of the fat out of the talent pool. Here is the list of names we have so far: Mojo Riley, Mickie James, Chelsea Green, Tucker, Kalisto, Bo Dallas, Wesley Blake, the Iconics, and probably the main event of this, released from his contract. We wondered what was going to happen with him after we saw Graves show back up on Monday Night Raw and the new play-by-play guy, Samoa Joe, released from their WWE contracts, all getting future endeavored. Matthew, let's start with Joe. I have a feeling that Samoa Joe was ready to compete back in the ring again, and they said no.
Yeah. That would seem likely. Here's the thing, though. If you are AEW, you got to grab him up. Like, you've got to. That's a game-changing talent right there to somebody else. And I feel AEW much more so than Impact, just because you've been there, and I feel like that story's been told. Joe,
I want to stop you there, though.
Really?
I think there's something there. And, most of the time, and you guys are probably tired of it, but most of the time, Matthew and I agree really on kind of what we're doing here. I'm going to disagree on that one. It was no coincidence when I was bringing up the results for last night's Impact show that the video that played underneath the results from Impact was a video of Samoa Joe. I think there's a story to tell, and I think the story to tell somewhat deals with what you're talking about. Tony Khan's forbidden door is wide open. You have Rich Swann maybe lose to Kenny Omega at Rebellion, and Samoa Joe comes in on the Impact side, and
Wow.
then starts appearing on AEW.
I don't dislike that. That does seem like something that would be much more intriguing than what they're currently doing. I think the Rich Swann Kenny Omega thing has got huge potential. I don't think they're realizing that potential right now, just for the fact that, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a closing segment on Impact. It's hardly mentioned on AEW, so it's not giving it that importance there. And it's extremely, it seems one-sided. Joe could potentially change that.
Here's the thing: the relationship, while it seemed to be almost all AEW on there, has gone even more so to AEW and not even mattering since Impact moved over to Thursday, because Impact, Tony Khan would buy that prepaid spot
Yeah.
to be the lead-in for the next night of AEW Dynamite. That doesn't exist anymore because Impact's not on Tuesdays anymore.
And not only that, but something else that's vanished. I only counted one Frank Thomas commercial last night.
I had multiple Ric Flair commercials.
Yeah, yeah.
He was chopping random people in the office.
Yeah. Wasn't that kind of what Frank Thomas was doing in his commercials?
He's chopping down wood with his big lumberjack.
Was that a 3-wood or a 5-wood?
It was all wood. It was just the driver. All right. Woo! Sadly, a bunch of air stewardesses have also seen Ric Flair's driver as well.
Speaking of which, Dark Side of the Ring's got the
Plane Ride from Hell.
Plane Ride from Hell, yeah, coming up later this season.
Yep, it is. All right, so we talked Samoa Joe. Let's talk Iconics.
So clarify for me, Meathead, was it just Billy Kay or did Peyton Royce get released
Peyton
as well?
Royce and Billy Kay both gone.
Oh my goodness, somehow I missed the Peyton Royce news. Wow.
But really, Peyton Royce, all she had was that one promo on Talking Raw / Smack, said that she means business, and then that's it.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say surprise number one, top of the list is Joe, but Iconics right behind that because, I mean, even most recently, although she wasn't featured in a prominent, serious role, Billy Kay was being featured.
Billy Kay had TV time. And, we'll get to the Jericho interview stuff that we were going to talk about. Jericho mentioned, and Billy Kay also lived this. If you're getting TV time, that's yours to do with what you want. And Billy Kay was getting over on TV.
Well, and I don't know what non-compete or anything looks like, but I mean, Billy Kay or Peyton Royce, I mean, she's got the Shawn Spears connection. They're either married or dating, right?
Something like that, yeah. So the Pineapple might need a female valet.
Yeah, I really think that, these three main names that we've mentioned, those are people, either AEW or Impact could make a move for. And I mean, those are big news items. Not that any of the other list is not, but I mean, those three are, I think, headline grabbing additions if somebody can make a move.
Let's talk about the rest of the list again here. Mickie James. Mickie's had time in Impact, time in WWE, never worked for AEW. Tucker, once the Heavy Machinery team was broken up, you could see the writing on the wall there. Kalisto, Lucha House Party is done. Kalisto gone. Bo Dallas has not been seen on television-wise since 2019. Did he or did he not work the Battle Royal on WrestleMania Friday?
No, I have not seen him in a long time. I'm pretty certain he didn't show up in the Battle Royal.
And Wesley Blake was part of the Forgotten Sons, and everybody forgot about him, so therefore he is gone as well. And again, Mojo Rawley is gone.
Yeah, and going back to some of the other talent and potential AEW Impact pickups, I know she's had a nice run in Impact, but AEW trying to get their women's division featured prominently, I think Mickie James could do a lot for that division.
And Mickie James could be the Christian pickup on the female side. Because
100%.
We talked about this before. Christian, the pickup wasn't just for the name Christian, wasn't for the TV splash that it was. It was for the background, the wrestling in the ring. Bully Ray had said that, every talent should be required to go and listen to Christian for an hour before TV tapings and just teach wrestling 101.
Yeah.
Mickey James could do the same thing for the women's.
Well, and here's the thing too, talking about other halves being on different promotions. I mean, you've got the Mickey James and Nick Aldis deal, and
Aldis is still in NWA.
Yeah, and so talking about that NWA title, my goodness, I wouldn't mind seeing Mickey James mix it up for the NWA title, which they're
Oof, right now that's still Serena Deeb, I believe.
Yeah. Give me that program. Give
Serena
me
Deeb and Mickey James, and then have them cross promote.
Exactly. That's some good stuff right there.
Okay, well, Tony Khan, I don't know how he walks around with that wide open forbidden door.
And honestly, I think yesterday's releases may have prodded open a little bit wider.
Yikes. Let's talk about the other huge news. We were going to talk about Impact last night. Jazz retiring was big news, but the biggest news for Impact, the Rebellion pay-per-view main event will be called by Mauro Ranallo. Mauro, the bipolar rock and roller, Mamma Mia, the voice, I thought, for many years of NXT, and really what made NXT kind of pop off. He also was the play-by-play for Smackdown for a few years as well. I really do think that this is a get for Impact Wrestling.
I don't think there's anything else they could have done any better to move the needle on the pay-per-view. And
put the needle on the record.
100%.
Put the needle on the record. Sorry.
And I think they did. They put that needle on the record, as you said. And I think you're going to have a lot of people pressing that buy button just to listen to Mauro.
I can't wait. Honestly, I was interested in Omega and Swan. Now Mauro's going to call it. I've equated Mauro, again, I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've equated Mauro to Joey Styles in his ECW run. Joey Styles did not need a color commentator. Mauro did not need color. And that's where some of the issues were in NXT with Mauro. Corey Graves had complaints about Mauro, saying, look, you've got Nigel McGuinness and Beth Phoenix there calling the action with you, and you're stepping all over them. Let them talk. They're two, former champions. Let them share their opinions. Mauro is 100 miles an hour, and that dude could do a 3-hour show.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. I mean, do you think the dynamic serves better with Mauro in a 2-man booth versus a 3?
Oh, Mauro is not good for a 3-man booth. It did not work, and that's where Mauro got left off.
And that's probably, is that what they're going for with the pay-per-view, though? Do you assume they're still going to have D'Lo and Stryker?
No, I hope not. I hope it's Mauro and just Mauro. Let it be Mauro calling the entire match.
So you're thinking he's going to go solo?
Let him go solo, dude. That dude can call all his own thing.
Man, I think that'd be a great move. If they do that, I think that that could be an art form in itself.
I think that's something that he could carry. I really do think he could carry that. Matthew, before we talk about SmackDown for tonight, let's talk about the Jericho interview on the Broken Skull Sessions. 2+ hours of Chris Jericho and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Chris Jericho, a contracted, appearing regularly on AEW Dynamite talent on WWE Network television. Tell me. First off, just that was a mouthful right there. Tell me about that.
It was a very interesting dynamic because we have not seen that before. We've not seen that before in any interview format on the network or really anything WWE has done. This was very, very interesting. And the fact that it's unprecedented, and also the fact that what was interesting about this is the last couple of Stone Cold episodes that I've watched, going back to the ones that stuck out to me, Taker, Kane, those were the over-the-top characters that, this was they were the men behind the mask, so to speak. When you're talking to Mark Calloway, it's a big departure from the Undertaker character. Same thing with Kane. Jericho, not so much. And it was interesting to watch a Stone Cold interview with somebody like a Chris Jericho who has reinvented himself over and over. And you really get reminded that it's not the Chris Jericho character versus who we got in the interview. The old adage of take yourself and turn it up to 11, you could really see that here.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I've been a Jericho guy since he was the Lionheart Chris Jericho at the
Yeah.
early stages of WCW. Then he got mad because he started losing, hitting Dave Pinzer, bring him a new tuxedo jacket over and over, and then he started to turn into that heel. I liked it because he was annoying. I mean, but that was me at that time. That was the man they called Meathead at that time. And I feel like I've grown along with Chris Jericho into these different characters. And boy, oh boy, this has been my guy. Everybody says growing up they had their Hogan, they had their Austin, they had their Rock. I had Chris Jericho, and this, if you have not seen yet, I'm not here to plug the Peacock Network, but it is worth the 2 hours. If you don't have the 2 hours, take the time to watch it in segments like Matthew did, or like I had to do a couple times where I had to stop, go off, do something else, and come back. The I enjoyed the stories about. More than the WWE stuff. Obviously, we were going to get WCW because, Vince McMahon owns the WCW content. But what we wanted to hear was that New Japan stuff. We wanted to hear the Mexico stuff and AAA. We wanted to hear AEW stuff, and they did not disappoint. Now, I still think that it was a little protected. Obviously there was no slamming, no bad mouthing, none of that at all. But it was a little protected, and that was okay for me because this is unique. There is a extra session on WWE.com. Apparently, there was a Haku and Chris Jericho fight in an airport that I haven't even gotten to yet. So it was 2 hours of stuff that aired. There's more that still hasn't aired yet.
Yeah, that's definitely worth checking out. You got to be a pretty brave man to take on Haku.
The word on the street is Haku is a bad mamma jamma.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to scroll over there and check that out because that sounds like a very, very interesting story. And what really interested me, what I enjoyed the most probably was the kind of the behind the scenes, the Vince stories. The story of going over to Vince's house before he was even signed, and just.
So what do you think about this match?
Yeah, and then the brownie. What was Vince's quote?
Oh,
well, if two gentlemen can't have another brownie, what can they have?
What's this world worth? Why do we do it? Have another brownie. And this dude still works for WCW at Vince McMahon's house eating brownies.
Yeah. The Jericho McMahon stories were probably my favorite part. I will say this, and you probably noticed it as well too. Something that was not the case back in the WWE Network days, but it's the case with Peacock now because they do have the commercials. The cuts here were in. I don't know. We hadn't talked about what format you've currently got, but I did the upgrade so it's commercial free. Well,
right.
It's spliced kind of awkwardly when they go to the commercial breaks there.
Didn't notice it because I'm getting the $4.99, you big dummy. So I'm getting commercial breaks.
Yeah. And
you knew it was a long program when you look and you see about 10 to 15 orange dots in it.
Yeah. What they do for the non-commercial deal, it's not unedited. It's not straight through. You still have the transitions, but it's not. You can tell it's not built into the structure of Austin's program, so it's very abrupt cuts. And then it's gone for 5 seconds, and then it's back. So it's still pretty choppy there. So something potentially they need to work on. And I don't recall any guests gratuitously using profanity, but we did get something beeped out on this end. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Oh, there was plenty of beeping. There was plenty of beeping.
So a little bit more policing going on with Peacock, it looks like.
Yeah. Nice to hear that Mr. Rockefeller over here, Matthew Thomas, paying for the super premium version so he could have 5 seconds of dead air to come back.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I like to not be interrupted when I'm eating my caviar.
Yeah, I can see. Or my second brownie. Let's have a brownie. What do you think of the finish of the D-Lo Brown match?
The brownie stuff's pretty good, man.
It's funny that Chris asked if Austin went over to Vince's house because I guarantee you Austin was part of Sunday Brunch. Do you know the story on Sunday Brunch?
Was that the traditional kind of around the table or around the pool writing session, or am I thinking of something
Yes.
else?
No, you're dead on. And we had Ken Anderson tell us about Sunday brunch once, way back in the day. The Sunday brunch conversations over and over. That's where all the booking meetings were at. Pat Patterson laying out at the pool, Vince McMahon, all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah.
I enjoy the drinking story as well, where Jericho goes, dude, I've got to do whatever. He goes, I'm going to the gym. And then he starts sending him pictures from the gym at 6 a.m. flexing.
Wow. I mean, that is one thing I've worked out before, and I've been intoxicated before, and I just could not imagine doing the two together.
I really found it kind of poignant that Vince did tell him once, and this is something that leaked out, and Vince probably wasn't happy about this. Vince said to Jericho, I wish sometimes I could take a break.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about that when I hear that, and I'm like, man, that's probably not what Vince McMahon wants to project and wants anybody to ever admit. But my goodness, I mean, you talk about somebody who has worked nonstop for decades upon decades. It's just it's wild, man.
So that was the Jericho interview. Again, if you haven't seen it, get on over to the Peacock. Again, like Rockefeller over here, if you have the $9.99 version, you'll be getting it ad free. But us, poor schlubs with the $4.99 version having to watch commercials. I will tell you though, the Peacock, you know what I've been watching? Supersized editions of every episode of The Office. Each 22-minute episode that normally aired for The Office, they're about 36 to 40 minutes long because they're putting in all the cutscenes.
Are they really?
It is phenomenal.
Wow. So is it okay? So it's actually ingrained in the context of the
episode. In the episode, just flows right through. So Peacock's got one benefit right now: the glorious super fan cuts of every episode of The Office.
Well, and if you're a true crime fan, I just got through watching a 5 or 6 part series on John Wayne Gacy. So
that's not playing at my house.
Yeah, just for our listeners out there, just if you're interested.
All right. Well, SmackDown tonight, it is the post-WrestleMania SmackDown. I need them to address the double pin. Roman Reigns laying on top of Edge and Daniel Bryan. Who was in the middle when they made a sandwich? Was it a Roman Edge sandwich of Bryan? Was he the meat in between the Roman and Edge buns? Who knows? Let's make it weird.
I thought Charlie addressed that a couple of months ago.
Yeah. So let's make it weird. But tonight, we need to figure out what's going on. I really do believe that at the WrestleMania Backlash in May, it's going to be Edge and Roman one-on-one for the championship.
That's the good thing about this whole story. And that's one thing that led me to enjoy the main event so much last week, was that anybody who comes out on top here, I'm okay with. And there are months upon months of storytelling that you can do. If we go, give me Edge and Roman, give me Edge and Bryan after that. I'm really interested in, the Edge dynamic. I think you definitely have that story with just him and Roman one-on-one. You've got that story with just him and Daniel Bryan one-on-one. I mean, what an absolute insane one-on-one match that could potentially be, Edge versus Daniel Bryan. There's a lot of good potential to come out of this. So I think regardless of what direction they go story-wise, us fans are going to be in for quite a treat over the next few months.
Matthew Thomas, since April 4th, we have had wall-to-wall coverage here at PWR Today. We have had content every day, the 4th, all the way through Friday, April 16th. We need a break. We appreciate you checking in on all the WrestleMania coverage. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. That stuff helps. Let's get the name out there. Let's get the word out there. We've been in talk with the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe as well, and the SNE network, Andrew Baydala's network. We're going to get those PWR Draft yearly results out there. I know I'm getting coordinated as the post-to-post champion, but for those that care about the numbers and want to see it official, we'll get that out there as well. So for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.